People always think life flips in loud moments, explosions, screams, big dramatic speeches. Nah, sometimes life changes over something small, like a piece of paper with a fat 0 scribbled on it. Emma Clark didn't know that yet. That Tuesday night started the same way all her worst nights did: tired feet, fake smiles, and hope hanging by a thread. The restaurant was called the Silver Fork, one of those places where the forks weighed more than Emma's rent and nobody ever looked the waitstaff in the eye. She tied her apron tight, checked her phone for the 10th time, and stared at the photo of her son Noah, asleep with an oxygen tube taped gently under his nose. 7 years old, weak lungs, strong kid, expensive problem. The doctor had said the new treatment could change everything. Let Noah breathe like a normal kid. Let him run, laugh without coughing. But the price tag? Ridiculous. The kind of number that laughs at single moms. So Emma worked. Double shifts, late nights, no excuses. That night, the dining room buzzed with money. Soft jazz, crystal glasses clinking, rich people complaining about nothing. Emma floated table to table like a ghost. Then he walked in. Tall, sharp suit, calm like he owned the air around him. The room shifted. Managers straightened up. Servers whispered. Emma didn't know his name yet, but she knew his type. Power money, the kind that never tips right. Her boss leaned in fast. Table 9, don't mess this up. Emma grabbed her notepad and approached. "Good evening, sir." "I want water," the man said, not looking up. "Room temp, lemon, peeled, no bitterness." Emma paused. "Peeled?" "Got it," she said anyway. She peeled that lemon like it owed her money, every strip of rind gone, hands shaking, not from fear, but from math. She was still $60 short for Noah's meds. When she brought the glass back, the man inspected it like a lab sample, took a sip. Acceptable. No thanks, no smile. Dinner was worse. Extra time, separate plates, special instructions that made the kitchen curse her name. Still, Emma delivered it perfectly. Then something weird happened. The man looked at her, like really looked. "Why are you here?" he asked. Emma blinked. "I work here." "No, why are you really here?" She shouldn't have answered, but she did. "I'm out of options." Silence. Then he leaned back. "So you're surviving on tips and luck." Emma's jaw tightened. "I'm surviving on effort." He smirked. Effort without strategy still loses. That hurt more than she expected. When she came back with the check, he was gone. The tip line? A thick black 0. Emma stared at it like it punched her in the chest. Then something slipped from under the receipt. A white card. 3 words handwritten. "Prove it. Midnight, Warehouse 12. Emma swallowed hard. She had a choice to make, and she had no idea that choice would drag her straight into a billionaire's war. But Emma didn't know that the man who left her nothing was about to accuse her of stealing millions, and she'd only have 4 hours to prove she wasn't guilty. The warehouse district didn't look like a place where good things happened. Emma figured that out the second she stepped off the bus. Broken streetlights flickered like they were tired of trying. The air smelled like rust, oil, and regret. Every instinct in her body screamed, "This is stupid," but her feet kept moving anyway. Because Noah needed his medicine, and because a 0 on a receipt had dared her to prove something. Warehouse 12 sat at the end of the block, big and gray and half forgotten. One light burned above a metal door like an unblinking eye. Parked beside it was a black luxury sedan, clean, polished, worth more than everything Emma owned combined. She checked her phone. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes early. Emma wrapped her thin jacket tighter around herself and whispered, "I'm doing this for you, kid," like Noah could hear her from miles away. The door creaked when she pushed it open. Inside, the space was massive. Concrete floors, steel beams, every step echoed like a bad decision announcing itself. At the center of the warehouse sat a folding table, 2 chairs, a single hanging light, and him, the man from the restaurant. No suit jacket this time, sleeves rolled up, papers spread across the table like a crime scene. "You're early," he said without looking up. "That matters." Emma stopped a few feet away. "Why am I here?" Now he looked at her. Up close, he didn't look untouchable. He looked tired. Sharp, yeah, but worn, like someone who slept with one eye open. "Sit," he said. She didn't want to. She did anyway. "I tested you tonight," he said calmly. "The ridiculous requests, the disrespect, the questions." Emma's hands curled into fists. "So this was a game?" "No," he replied. "It was a filter." She scoffed. "Congrats, you filtered out my dignity." A corner of his mouth twitched. "You didn't quit. You didn't cry. You didn't screw up. That tells me more than resumes ever do." He slid a thick folder toward her. Emma didn't touch it. "I'm a waitress. If this is some prank—" "I'm losing money," he interrupted. "Millions." Quietly. That got her attention. "My executives say it's market pressure. I say someone's lying." Emma finally opened the folder. Numbers, charts, reports, manufacturing data, stuff she didn't recognize, but patterns she did. "I don't have a degree," she said slowly. "You have survival instincts," he replied. "Those are better." He checked his watch. "You've got 1 hour. Find the problem. And if I don't, I pay for your cab home and we never speak again. And if I do," he pulled out a checkbook, "I cover your son's treatment. All of it." Her breath caught. "All of it?" "I don't bluff." Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She looked at the papers again, really looked. Factories, materials, shipping numbers. Then she saw it. One factory always used more material than the others, not once, not randomly, always. Emma grabbed the calculator. Her fingers flew. "Factory 9, she said suddenly. "Someone skimming inventory." The man went still. "Explain." "They report 12 to 15% more fabric used per run, consistently. That's theft, not waste." Silence. Then he smiled. Slow, dangerous. "You just did in 10 minutes what my team hasn't done in 6 months. He wrote the check, handed it to her. Emma stared at it, tears blurring the ink. But before she could speak, he added, "This is just the beginning." Emma thought the worst night of her life was over. She didn't know this discovery would put a target on her back, or that the next betrayal would come from inside the mansion. Emma didn't sleep that night, not because of fear, because of math. She sat at the tiny kitchen table in her apartment, the check lying in front of her like it might disappear if she blinked too long. The numbers on it were real, enough to cover Noah's treatment, enough to buy him air, real air. No more counting breaths in the dark. Her phone buzzed at 6:17 a.m. Unknown number. H. Be ready by 9. Car will pick you up. No emojis, no greeting, straight business. Emma stared at the message for a long second, then typed back, "Emma, for what?" 3 dots appeared. then vanished, then came back. H. Your new life. That sentence landed heavier than the check. At 8:58 sharp, a black SUV pulled up outside her building. Neighbors peeked through blinds like they were watching a crime documentary unfold in real time. Noah tugged her sleeve. "Mom, are we in trouble?" She knelt and hugged him tight. "No, buddy, we're just stepping into something new." The drive felt unreal. The city slowly changed, from cracked sidewalks to iron gates and trimmed hedges. When the car finally stopped, Emma's stomach flipped. The house wasn't a house. It was a statement. Stone walls, wide windows, security everywhere, but hidden enough to feel polite. The man from the warehouse, Harlan West, she'd learned, met her at the door. "Welcome," he said. "You're late." She checked her watch. "It's 9 o'clock exactly." A ghost of a smile. "I like you already." Inside was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence money buys. He walked fast. Emma followed. "I'm offering you a job, personal operations analyst." She frowned. "That sounds fake." "It's real," he replied, "and it pays more than you've ever made." "And the catch?" He stopped walking. "Your job is to notice what others ignore, question what no one questions, and understand this: if you find something wrong, you don't flinch." Emma thought a factory 9. "I don't flinch," she said. Good answer. The first week was chaos. Meetings full of suits talking in circles, words like optimization and acceptable loss thrown around like excuses. Emma didn't speak much. She listened and noticed. An executive who avoided eye contact, a shipping manager who signed reports too fast, a woman who watched Emma like she was a virus. Her name was Celeste Whale. Elegant, calm, expensive, and dangerous. Celeste smiled with her mouth, not her eyes. "So you're the miracle girl," she said one afternoon, "the waitress who cracked the numbers." Emma smiled back. "So you're the one everyone's scared of." That smile faded just a little. Later that night, Emma stayed late reviewing supply logs. Harlan came in, loosening his tie. "You should go home. You've done enough." Emma didn't look up. "I think someone's moving money through a shell vendor." Silence. Then, "Show me." That's when Emma realized something terrifying. This job wasn't just opportunity, it was a battlefield, and she had stepped right between two powerful people who did not play fair. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. This time, a photo. Emma, leaving the building, time-stamped an hour ago. But she hadn't left. A message followed. Unknown. Careful, Emma. Heroes fall fast. Her hands went cold. She looked up at Harlan. We've got a problem. And somewhere in the mansion, someone was already planning her downfall. Emma thought getting the job meant safety. She didn't know someone was already collecting evidence to destroy her. And next, the lie would turn her into a criminal. The first rule Emma learned in Harlan West's world: nothing bad ever announces itself. It shows up dressed like routine. The morning after the mystery photo, Emma walked into headquarters like nothing was wrong. Same neutral outfit, same calm face, same steady walk. Inside, though, her instincts were screaming. Someone had taken that photo on purpose. Someone wanted her to know she was being watched. "Morning, superstar," a finance analyst joked as she passed. Emma smiled politely, filed it away. She spent the day buried in reports, vendor payments, internal transfers, expense approvals. And the deeper she went, the uglier it got. tiny amounts moving between departments, nothing loud, nothing obvious, but consistent. That night she stayed late again. The building thinned out, lights dimmed, silence settled in. Her phone buzzed. "Celeste, still working? You should pace yourself." Emma stared at the message. How did Celeste know she was still there? Emma typed back carefully. "Emma, almost done." 3 dots. Then, "Good, hard work gets noticed." That wasn't encouragement. That was a warning. 2 days later, everything exploded. It happened fast. Security showed up at Emma's desk just after lunch. 2 men, no smiles. "Emma Clark, you need to come with us." Her stomach dropped. For what? Harlan stepped out of his office at the exact wrong moment. "What's going on?" he demanded. The guard hesitated, then handed him a tablet. Emma watched Harlan's face change as he read. Cold, sharp, closed. He turned the screen toward her. It was a bank statement. Her name, her account number, a deposit highlighted in red. $2.8 million. Emma felt dizzy. "That's not mine." "And these?" Harlan swiped. Photos. Emma meeting a man outside a cafe. Emma on her laptop late at night. Emails printed, time-stamped, damning. Celeste appeared like she'd been waiting for the moment. "This is exactly what I warned you about," she said softly. "We brought in someone desperate, and she took advantage." Emma's chest burned. "You framed me." Celeste's eyebrows lifted. "Careful, accusations don't look good right now." Harlan didn't look at Emma. That hurt the most. "Security," he said quietly. "Escort her out." "No," Emma said, her voice shaking. "Check the account. I never touched that money." "Which is interesting," Celeste said smoothly, "because a professional thief would leave it there. Makes it look innocent." Emma stared at her. That was too perfect. She was walked out of the building in silence. Employees stared, phones lifted, whispers spread. By the time she reached the gate, rain started falling. Of course it did. Her access was cut immediately, cards deactivated, email locked, accounts frozen, and Noah's treatment suspended. Emma sat on the curb holding her phone like it might save her. Then she remembered something. She wasn't alone. She called Martha, Harlan's executive assistant, the only person who'd ever looked at Emma like she belonged there. "Martha," Emma said when she answered, "I need you to trust me." Long pause. "I already do. Tell me what you need." Emma closed her eyes. "We have 4 hours before the board votes, and I can prove who did this." Rain soaked through her jacket, but for the first time since the setup, Emma smiled, because Celeste made one mistake. She underestimated a woman who survived on details. Emma had 4 hours, 1 frozen account, and proof hidden where Celeste never thought to look. Next, the truth fights back. The clock didn't care about innocence. It just kept moving. Emma sat in the corner booth of a 24-hour diner 2 blocks from headquarters, Noah asleep beside her, hoodie pulled over his curls. The hum of the fridge and the clink of dishes filled the silence while rain streaked down the window like the city itself was crying. 4 hours. That's all she had before the board voted to erase her. Martha slid into the booth across from her, breathless. "I wasn't followed," she said, but Celeste locked her office down tight. Emma nodded. "She would." Martha leaned in. "Talk to me. What's your angle?" Emma pulled out her notebook, the same one she'd used since her waitress days. Grease stains, bent corners, ugly, honest. She moved too clean, too fast. Framing me wasn't the plan, it was the cover. For what? For taking over. Emma flipped the page. Celeste didn't just steal money, she rerouted authority. Look, every department she accused of inefficiency lines up with a transfer approval she controlled. Martha's eyes widened. She weakened them on paper so the board would vote her more power. Exactly. And the money she planted in my account, Emma continued, that wasn't a bribe, it was misdirection. Martha frowned. How do you prove that? Emma smiled for the first time since the setup. With timestamps. They split up. Martha went back inside to stall the board. Emma went somewhere Celeste never imagined she would. Back to where Emma used to be invisible. The silver fork. Her old manager nearly dropped a tray when he saw her. Emma, I thought you... I need your help, and I need it now. 20 minutes later, Emma sat in the cramped security office watching grainy security footage. There she was, 2 weeks ago, meeting her cousin. Once, one time, not twice like Celeste claimed. Can you export this? Emma asked. He nodded. Already copying it. Her phone buzzed. Martha. Found something. Celeste accessed your bank portal remotely. Emma's pulse spiked. Emma. From where? Martha. Her personal laptop. Home IP. That was it. That was the crack. Emma rushed back toward headquarters just as her phone rang again. Unknown number. She answered. Still fighting? Celeste's voice purred. You should have stayed quiet. Emma stopped walking. You're sloppy, Emma said calmly. A pause. You planted money 3 days before accusing me. Any real thief would have moved it, and you reused the same access tunnel you used for the offshore accounts. Silence stretched. Then anger. You think anyone will believe you? Emma smiled. They already are. Security stopped her at the entrance. Miss Clark, you're not allowed. Tell Harlan West the woman he fired is here to confess and that she brought receipts. People stared. Phones lifted. Moments later, Martha appeared, pale but determined. He said bring her up. The boardroom doors opened. Emma walked in with Noah holding her hand. Every eye turned. Celeste's smile froze. Harlan stood slowly. Speak, he said. Emma held up the USB drive. Let's talk about who really stole the money. Emma didn't walk into that boardroom to beg. She walked in to expose a thief and force a billionaire to face the truth. The boardroom felt colder than the rain outside. Glass walls, long table, faces that had already decided Emma's guilt before she opened her mouth. Celeste stood near the head of the table, arms crossed, calm as ever. That calm came from confidence, the kind people get when they think the game's already over. Harlan stood at the opposite end. He didn't look angry. That scared Emma more. You said you wanted to confess, Celeste said sweetly. Let's not waste anyone's time. Emma didn't sit. She plugged the USB into the screen. I'm not here to confess, she said. I'm here to correct the record. The screen lit up. First slide, bank transfer logs. This money, Emma said, pointing to the $2.8 million deposit, was transferred into my account remotely. I never authorized it. I never accessed it. Celeste scoffed. That proves nothing. Emma nodded. You're right. That alone doesn't. She clicked again. IP address, match, found. This access came from a private residential network, Emma continued, not mine. The room shifted. And that network, Emma said calmly, belongs to Celeste Vale. Murmurs spread. Celeste laughed, too loudly. That's absurd. Anyone could spoof. Which is why, Emma cut in, I checked usage patterns. She clicked again. Timestamps overlay. These logins match the exact windows when Celeste was not in the office, Emma said, including 3 nights when she accessed financial systems at 2 a.m. Harlan's jaw tightened. Emma wasn't done. Now about these photos. She played the video. Security footage, time-stamped, clear. Emma sitting with her cousin, 1 meeting, 1 day, not 2. Celeste's smile cracked. These emails, Emma continued, pulling up another slide, were created using internal templates only executives can access. She paused. I didn't have that access. Silence. One board member leaned forward. Miss Vale, care to respond? Celeste straightened. This is manipulation. She's desperate. Emma met her eyes. So were you, when you realized Harlan trusted me. Harlan finally spoke. Why? He asked quietly. Celeste turned to him. You brought her in, gave her power. I protected this company. You stole from it, Harlan said. I invested. I repositioned assets. You framed an innocent woman and risked a child's life. That landed hard. Celeste snapped. You think they care, she shouted, pointing at the board. They care about numbers, results. I gave them growth. Harlan walked forward. No, he said, you gave us lies. He turned to the board. I want an independent audit, full forensic review, immediately. Celeste's eyes widened. You can't do that. I can, and I am. Security stepped closer. This isn't over, Celeste hissed at Emma. You made a powerful enemy. Emma didn't blink. You made yourself one. Celeste was escorted out, still shouting. The doors closed. The room exhaled. Harlan turned to Emma. I was wrong, and I cost you everything. Emma swallowed. You cost me trust, but you gave me a chance to fight. He nodded. What happens now? Emma looked around the room. Now, she said, you fix what she broke. Emma cleared her name, but exposing Celeste triggered something bigger, because power doesn't fall quietly, and the fallout is just beginning. Truth doesn't come with applause. It comes with consequences. By the time Emma stepped out of the boardroom, the building felt different. Not hostile, but tense. Like everyone was pretending nothing had happened while silently choosing sides. Harlan walked beside her in silence until they reached the private elevator. I owe you more than an apology, he said finally. Emma kept her eyes forward. You owe your company honesty. Start there. The doors closed. Down below, chaos had already started. Phones rang nonstop. Lawyers arrived. Auditors were called in. Emails marked urgent flooded inboxes. Celeste Vale's name spread through the company like a wildfire. But Emma wasn't celebrating. She sat in the guest office holding Noah while he played with a paper airplane someone had folded for him. His breathing was steady, calm. That was all that mattered. Martha knocked lightly and stepped in. The board postponed the vote, she said. Full investigation. Celeste's accounts are frozen. Emma nodded. And Noah's treatment? Martha smiled. Back on. Approved indefinitely. Emma closed her eyes. For the first time in days, she let herself breathe. That night, Harlan asked Emma to stay for dinner. Not business, no files, just food. They sat across from each other on a long table that suddenly felt way too big. "You could walk away," Harlan said. "No one would blame you." Emma considered it. A month ago, she'd been counting tips, afraid of the future, afraid of losing her child. Now, "I won't walk away," Emma said, "but things change." Harlan nodded slowly. "They already have." The next morning, the backlash hit. News articles, speculation, anonymous leaks. Billionaire empire fractures from within. Executive fraud exposed by former waitress. Emma didn't read them. She didn't need to. But not everyone was happy she'd won. A note appeared on her car windshield that evening. "You humiliated the wrong people." Emma crumbled it and tossed it away. Fear didn't scare her anymore. She'd survived worse. Inside the building, employees started coming to her quietly. Stories, whispers, old warnings that had been ignored. She listened, and that's when she realized the truth. Celeste wasn't the disease. She was a symptom. Corruption ran deeper. Old alliances, quiet favors, money that moved because no one thought to question it. Emma took notes, lots of them. That afternoon, Harlan called an emergency meeting. He announced, "I'm restructuring leadership, effective immediately." Murmurs erupted. "I'm stepping back from daily operations because this company needs a reset." Eyes turned to Emma. Harlan met her gaze. "And I know exactly who should lead it." Emma's heart skipped. She stood slowly. "I didn't come here for power," she said. "I came here because details matter. People matter." The room went silent. "If you want change," she continued, "you don't protect titles. You protect truth." No one argued. After the meeting, Emma stood by the window overlooking the city. Same streets, same lights, different future. Harlan joined her. "You're going to make enemies," he said quietly. Emma smiled. "I already have." Emma exposed the lie, but stepping into power made her the next target, and the next attack wouldn't come from a boardroom. Emma learned something fast after stepping into authority. Power doesn't scare people. Change does. Her new office still smelled like fresh paint and quiet resistance. Same desk, bigger window, smaller trust. People smiled more, but their eyes measured her now. She noticed everything. Who stopped talking when she entered, who suddenly CC'd legal on every email, who avoided her completely, and who watched. That night, Emma stayed late again, not because she had to, but because patterns don't reveal themselves on a schedule. She flipped through internal audits, supplier histories, archived complaints that had never been followed up on. There it was. A logistics contractor flagged 5 years ago. Same name, same issue, different department. Someone had buried it. Her phone buzzed. Unknown. You don't know who you're dealing with. Emma didn't reply. Fear feeds on answers. The next morning, Harlan called her into his office. "You're pushing hard," he said. "People are nervous." "They should be. If they're clean, they've got nothing to hide." He studied her. "You're making waves bigger than Celeste ever did." Emma met his gaze. Then maybe she was just the warm-up. That afternoon, the first threat turned physical. Emma's car alarm went off in the underground garage. When she reached it, the driver's side mirror hung by wires, scratched into the paint with a key. "Stop digging." Her hand stayed steady. She took photos, logged it, kept moving, because that's what you do when intimidation stops working. Later that evening, Martha rushed into her office, pale. "Someone leaked internal audit notes to the press. They're blaming you for instability." Emma exhaled slowly. Classic move. Who benefits? Emma asked. Martha swallowed. Board member Klein, he voted with Celeste on everything. Emma nodded. Schedule a meeting. That's not optional, Emma finished. The meeting didn't go well. Klein smiled too much, denied everything, threatened resignation like it was a weapon. Emma didn't flinch. You approved every contractor Celeste used, Emma said calmly, and you never asked why. That proves nothing. It proves willful blindness, which courts don't love. The smile disappeared. 2 hours later, legal called. Klein had resigned. But the wind didn't feel good. That night, Emma found Noah sitting on her bed, hugging his pillow tight. Mom, are we safe? That question broke her. She sat beside him. Yes, we are. She hoped it was true. Outside, rain hit the windows again. Same sound, different stakes. Emma stood by the glass, looking out at the city, and realized something chilling. The higher she climbed, the lonelier it got. Her phone buzzed one last time that night. Unknown, last warning. Attached, her home address. Emma locked the phone and whispered to herself, do your worst, because backing down was no longer an option. The threats were no longer subtle. Emma had crossed a line, and now someone wanted her gone. Next, the danger comes home. Emma didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear, because fear had finally crossed a line. The address in that message wasn't just information, it was a promise. Someone had taken the time to learn where Noah slept, where Emma let her guard down, where life was supposed to feel safe. She locked every door, checked every window, twice. At 3:12 a.m., her phone rang. Martha. I didn't want to scare you, she whispered, but security flagged something. Emma sat up. Say it, she whispered. Someone tried to access the guest house cameras. Remote breach. They failed, but Emma, this wasn't random. Emma stared at Noah, curled up and breathing steady. I know, she said quietly. By morning, Emma made a decision she'd been avoiding. She went public. Not with emotions, with facts. A controlled statement went out before noon. Calm, professional, airtight. No accusations, just transparency. Ongoing audits, external oversight. Zero tolerance. The message was clear. I'm not hiding. The backlash came anyway. Comment sections burned. Anonymous sources questioned her credibility. Headlines tried to turn her into a headline instead of a leader. Emma ignored it all until Noah's school called. Miss Clark, the principal said carefully, there's been concern. Someone had emailed the school, anonymous, suggesting Emma was under investigation and that her son might not be safe around other children. That did it. Emma left work early and drove straight to Harlan's estate. This stops, she said the moment she saw him. Now. Harlan listened, really listened. Then he nodded. I've been trying to protect the company, he said. You've been protecting people. He stood. I'll do this your way. Within hours, the strategy shifted. Legal teams moved aggressively. Security doubled. Names were named. Quiet backroom allies were exposed, fast and publicly. And just like that, the shadows started to scatter. But shadows don't disappear without lashing out. That evening, Emma's car was followed. She noticed immediately. Same headlights, same turns. She didn't panic. She drove straight to a police station. The car vanished. By the next morning, Martha brought news. They traced the intimidation attempts, she said. Shell firms, burner phones. Emma already knew the answer. Board level, she said. Martha nodded. They thought you'd quit. They didn't expect you to fight this hard. Emma looked out the window. They don't know what it takes to keep a child breathing. That afternoon, Emma did something unexpected. She resigned. Gasps filled the room, but before anyone could celebrate, she continued. "I'm stepping away from the title," Emma said evenly, "not the mission." She slid a document across the table, an independent oversight structure, permanent, public, untouchable. You can't intimidate a system, only people. Silence, then approval, unanimous. That night, Emma tucked Noah into bed. "Mom," asked Noah sleepily, "are the bad people gone?" Emma kissed his forehead. "Some of them," she said. "The rest are scared." Outside, the city hummed. Emma stood taller because the truth was no longer alone. Emma thought stepping back would end the fight. She didn't know it would expose the final enemy, the one who'd been pulling strings from the start. Emma thought stepping down would quiet the storm. She was wrong. It sharpened it. The morning after her resignation, Emma woke to 12 missed calls and a news alert flashing across her phone. Board shakeup hides deeper power struggle at West Group. She sighed. Of course it did. She poured coffee, steady hands, calm mind. Power didn't leave when a title did. Sometimes it got louder. Martha arrived just after sunrise, face pale but focused. "We found him," she said. Emma didn't ask who. She already knew it wasn't Celeste. Celeste was ambition with makeup. This was something older, quieter, meaner. "Board member Grant Holloway," Martha continued. "He's been there since the beginning. Silent partner, never votes first, never speaks unless it matters." Emma nodded. "The kind of man who lets others take the fall." Martha slid a file across the table. Shell companies, political donations, private equity funds looping back into vendors that only appeared independent. The pattern was elegant, disgustingly elegant. He used Celeste, used me, used the chaos to trigger restructuring and move assets. And when you exposed her, he pivoted. Emma closed the file. "So what's his mistake?" Martha hesitated. "He underestimated you stepping away." Emma smiled faintly. People confuse silence with surrender. That afternoon, Emma requested one meeting, just one. Holloway agreed immediately. That told her everything. The man was polished in an old money way, calm, friendly, the kind of person who never raised his voice because he'd never needed to. "Emma," he said warmly, "you've had quite the impact." Impact wasn't the goal, integrity was. He chuckled. "Same thing in different packaging." They sat. "Celeste got reckless," Holloway said. "You forced my hand." "You framed an innocent woman," Emma replied. "No," he corrected gently, "I let her." Emma met his eyes. "And now?" Holloway said. "Now you walk away, take your settlement, your reputation intact, your son safe." There it was, the real threat. Emma leaned forward. "You think you're untouchable because you've never been poor, never desperate." Holloway smiled. "Desperation makes people sloppy." Emma nodded. "That's why you lose." She slid a single document across the table. "What's this?" he asked. "A mirror," Emma said. "Every asset trail you buried, every favor, every transfer." His smile faded for the first time. "You wouldn't," Emma replied. "I already did. External regulators, international, with timestamps." Silence. Then Holloway leaned back. "You're dangerous," he said softly. Emma stood. "No," she said, "I'm done being quiet." That evening, the news broke. Senior board member under investigation for financial misconduct. Phones rang. Markets reacted. Lawyers scrambled. Harlan called. "I should have seen it," he said. We all miss things. That's why systems matter more than heroes. Night fell. Emma tucked Noah in, same as always, same routine, same love. But the world outside had shifted because the quiet woman with no title had just shaken the foundation. The mastermind was exposed, but power doesn't collapse without retaliation, and the final move hasn't been played yet.
The investigation didn't slow the machine. It angered it. By morning, Grant Holloway's lawyers were everywhere. News channels softened their language. Headlines shifted from fraud to mismanagement. Anonymous experts suddenly questioned process failures instead of intent. Emma watched it all from her kitchen table while Noah ate cereal and talked about a science quiz. 2 worlds, same morning. Martha called before noon. "They're circling the wagons," she said. "Holloway's people are pressuring regulators." Emma exhaled. "Of course they are. What do we do?" Emma looked at her notebook, the same one she'd carried from waitressing shifts to boardrooms. "We stop playing defense." That afternoon, Emma released something no one expected. Not documents, stories. Verified testimonies from factory workers, accountants who'd been forced to look away, managers who'd signed approvals under pressure, names redacted, facts intact, human proof. The public response was immediate because numbers confuse people, stories don't. By evening, Holloway's narrative cracked, but desperation makes people reckless. At 9:47 p.m., Emma's phone buzzed. Unknown. Last chance. Walk away. Attached was a photo of Noah walking into school that morning. Emma's hands shook for exactly 3 seconds. Then they steadied. She forwarded the message to authorities. Then she made one final call. Harlan answered immediately. "They went after my kid," Emma said flatly. Silence, then rage. "I'm done playing nice," Harlan said. "So am I," Emma replied. "Tomorrow ends this." The next morning, the board reconvened under federal supervision. Holloway arrived confident, controlled, smiling. Emma walked in without a title. She didn't need one. Regulators spoke first. "Mr. Holloway," one said, "we have reason to believe you attempted witness intimidation." Holloway scoffed. "Based on what?" Emma stood. "Based on this." She played the message, the metadata, the tracking, the linked burner phone, paid for through one of Holloway's shell vendors. The room froze. "That's circumstantial," Holloway snapped. "Then explain this," Emma said, clicking again. "A ledger, dates, transfers." Every intimidation attempt was authorized within 30 minutes of a fund movement, Emma said. "You paid for silence like a subscription." The regulator leaned forward. "Mr. Holloway, you are under formal investigation for obstruction and financial misconduct." The smile vanished. Security stepped in. As Holloway was escorted out, he turned to Emma. "You think you've won?" he hissed. Emma met his gaze. "No," she said calmly. "I think the truth finally caught up." Hours later, the announcement went public. Federal investigation expands, multiple arrests expected. Emma went home early. She cooked dinner, helped with homework, laughed at a bad joke, because after everything, this was the victory. Later that night, Harlan stood beside her on the balcony. "You changed everything," he said quietly. Emma shook her head. "No," she replied, "I just refused to look away." The system finally cracked, but Emma's journey isn't over yet, because survival is one thing, forgiveness is another. When the headlines stopped screaming, the silence felt strange, almost heavy.
Emma expected relief after everything ended, after the investigations, the arrests, the apologies wrapped in legal language. But relief didn't come the way she imagined. What came instead was exhaustion, the kind that sinks into your bones. Life didn't magically become easy, it just became quieter. Emma dropped Noah off at school like any other parent. She stood in grocery lines. She folded laundry at midnight. Normal things felt foreign after living in crisis mode for so long. One afternoon, Emma sat alone in a small cafe, notebook closed for once. No audits, no plans, just coffee going cold. Harlan walked in unexpectedly. No suit, no entourage, just a man. "I wasn't sure you'd want to see me," he said carefully. Emma studied him. He looked older, not weaker, just human. "Sit," she said. They talked slowly, about nothing at first, then about everything. "I failed you," Harlan said. "I believed evidence instead of character." Emma nodded. "You weren't wrong to doubt. You were wrong to stop listening." He swallowed. "I don't expect forgiveness." Emma looked out the window. "Forgiveness isn't about you," she said. "It's about whether I want to keep carrying this." That truth surprised them both. Weeks passed. The company stabilized under new leadership. Independent oversight became permanent. Systems replaced personalities. Emma stayed away. She didn't need power anymore. What she needed was peace. One evening, Noah asked a question that caught her off guard. "Mom," he said quietly, "are you still mad at those people?" Emma thought about it, about Celeste, Holloway, the threats, the fear. "I'm not mad," she said honestly. "I'm just done letting them take space in my head." Noah smiled, satisfied. That was when Emma realized something important. She hadn't just fought for justice, she'd fought to give her son a different example of strength. Months later, Emma received a letter, handwritten, from Harlan. Inside was no apology, no business offer, just a simple sentence. "You taught me that leadership isn't control, it's accountability." Emma folded the letter and put it away. Some chapters don't need replies. On the anniversary of the night everything changed, Emma took Noah out to dinner. Not fancy, just a regular place. The waitress looked tired, rushed, invisible. Emma noticed. She smiled, asked her name, thanked her. And when the bill came, Emma left a tip so big the waitress stared at it like it might vanish. There was a note written underneath. "Your value isn't measured by how people treat you, only by how you treat others." As they walked out, Noah squeezed her hand. "You're smiling," he said. Emma nodded. "I finally am." But peace has a funny way of testing itself, because just when Emma thought the story was over, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One sentence. "We need you again." Emma stared at the screen and laughed softly. Emma thought she'd walked away for good, but some battles don't end when you leave. They wait. Emma didn't answer the message right away. She stared at the screen while the coffee cooled beside her, the cafe humming with ordinary life. Kids laughing, dishes clinking, a normal world that didn't need saving. She wanted to keep it that way, but the words sat there like a weight. "We need you again." Emma knew what that really meant. Not help, not advice, responsibility. She typed one line, "Emma, this is the last time." The reply came instantly. Unknown,
That's all we're asking." 2 days later, Emma walked into a federal building she never expected to see again. No badge, no title, just a witness. The room was small, sterile, honest in a way boardrooms never were. An investigator slid a file toward her. "Grant Holloway isn't the end," he said. "He was the spine, but the nerves, they're still firing." Emma skimmed the pages. Foreign subsidiaries, lobbying money, quiet favors buried in contracts no one read because they trusted the wrong people. "This network survives because people look away," the investigator continued. "You don't." Emma closed the file. "You're asking me to testify," she said. "Yes." "And make myself a target again." "Yes." Emma leaned back. She thought of Noah, of school pickups, of nights without fear. Then she thought of every worker who'd never had the chance to speak. "On one condition," she said. The investigator looked up. "Name it." "No immunity deals for the architects," Emma said firmly. "No golden parachutes, no quiet retirements." A pause, then a nod. Agreed. Testifying felt different than fighting. There was no adrenaline, no clever moves, just truth. Emma spoke clearly, calmly, without drama. She explained patterns, systems, how corruption hides behind complexity, how fear is cheaper than honesty. When it was over, the room stayed silent, because sometimes truth doesn't need applause. Outside, cameras waited. Emma walked past them. She was done performing. That night, Harlan called. "I heard," he said quietly. "I told you, last time. I know, but thank you." "For what?" "For finishing what I was too afraid to do." Emma smiled softly. "We all miss things," she said. "What matters is what we do when we finally see them." Weeks passed. Indictments followed. Reforms locked in. Names fell from power quietly, without headlines. That was justice done right. Emma returned to her life. School runs, work she chose, peace she earned. One evening, Noah asked, "Mom, are you a hero?" Emma laughed. "No," she said. "I'm just someone who didn't stop when it got hard." Noah thought about that. "I want to be like that," he said. Emma hugged him tight. "That's more than enough." Later that night, Emma stood by the window, city lights flickering like distant stars. She felt something close, completion. But endings matter, and this story still had one more thing to say. Emma faced the system one last time and walked away with her soul intact. Now comes the ending that explains why this story mattered at all. People think stories end when the villain falls. They don't. They end when the noise fades and you finally understand what it all meant. Emma never went back to the life she had before, but she didn't chase the one she almost had either. She built something quieter, something real. Mornings were simple now, packing lunches, walking Noah to school, arguing over socks that never matched. No security teams, no headlines, no fear sitting heavy in her chest, just breathing. One afternoon, Emma sat on a park bench watching Noah race other kids across the grass. He ran hard, laughed loud, didn't stop to catch his breath anymore. That was the real victory. Not the arrests, not the investigations, not even the truth finally winning. This. She thought back to the night that started everything, the restaurant, the long shift, the exhaustion, the receipt lying on the table with a single brutal zero. At the time, it felt like humiliation, like proof she didn't matter. Now she understood something different. That 0 wasn't rejection, it was a line between staying invisible and stepping forward. Emma never became famous, never wanted to. She declined interviews, turned down book deals, passed on offers that smelled too much like control dressed up as praise. She chose impact over attention. Months later, she received a small envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside was a photo, the receipt, the 0 framed in glass. On the back, a note in familiar handwriting. Some moments don't break you, they introduce you to yourself. H. Emma smiled softly. She placed the frame in a drawer, not on a wall. Some reminders are private. That evening, Noah asked a question kids only ask when they feel safe. "Mom, are we going to be okay forever?" Emma sat beside him. "Forever's a big word," she said gently, "but we're okay right now, and that's what matters." Noah nodded, satisfied. As the sun dipped low, Emma realized something important. She didn't win because she was smarter, or stronger, or braver than everyone else. She won because she didn't quit. She noticed details, asked questions, refused to accept silence as the answer. And maybe that's the part that matters most, because there are millions of Emmas out there. People working hard, feeling unseen, carrying quiet battles no one applauds. People staring at their own 0 moments, wondering if that's all they're worth. It's not. Your value isn't written on a receipt or a paycheck or someone else's opinion. It's in how you keep going when it would be easier to disappear. Emma stood up, brushed grass off her jeans, and called out to Noah. "Come on, champ, let's head home." As they walked away, the city lights flickered on, soft, steady, unafraid of the dark. And somewhere out there, another invisible person was standing at the edge of a moment that would change everything. They just didn't know it yet. If this story moved you, don't just scroll away. Like this video so more people hear it. Subscribe for stories that remind you who you are. Tell us in the comments, what was your 0 moment, and did you let it stop you? Because sometimes the lowest point isn't the end, it's the invitation. Thank you for watching.